What's good, you guys? We're back again with another video. So today is the day of the draft, and today we're going to do our draft day sleepers. I'm sorry I didn't have this video out earlier, but I'm coming to you with it now. I'm just going to focus on 3 guys with this video, but me, I have a lot of sleepers. I have a lot of guys that I really love watching, that I love in this draft. I think this is one of the best drafts of all time. I think it has the potential to be that, just because how many good players it is. I don't think it's going to be a lot of busts in this draft. And it has everything. When you look at the top of the draft, it has your 2 generational stars, maybe 4 in the Thompson twins, but obviously Scoot and Wemby. And then it has some very good lottery picks. But then in the later halves of the draft, from pick 20 to like pick 45, you're going to be getting some NBA quality players that are ready to play soon, especially in that 25 to 35 range. It is going to be some guys to be like, yo, how did they fall that low? And that's the purpose of this video. I want to bring those guys to light. But to talk about my sleepers and some of my favorites in this draft, I want to start off with Maxwell Lewis, one of my favorites. I didn't want to talk about him in this video because the video will be super long, like very long. And you know what? Now that I'm thinking about it, I can still talk about these prospects after the draft. So I'm going to do a breakdown of Maxwell Lewis after the draft. Now that I think about it, Maxwell Lewis is one of my guys. Reminds me a lot of Trey Murphy, but I will say he has a lot of shot creation that Trey Murphy doesn't have. I would say he's the more gifted scorer on offense. They're like special talents, and I'm very high on Maxwell Lewis. Another guy, Jalen Hood-Schifino, he could have definitely made this bid. I might do a breakdown on him. Leonard Miller, I'm only high on him for one reason. I just want him to go to the Heat because I think the fit would just be so perfect. And I think him and Bam, I wouldn't compare him to Bam, but he reminds me a lot of Bam in a sense. And I know that might not make sense to you, but if I do a video about Leonard Miller, you will understand why. Because I don't think he's like Bam. Like, I wouldn't compare him to Bam, but he reminds me a lot of Bam. Other guys, I'm a very big Ben Sheppard fan. Ben Sheppard from Belmont reminds me a lot of Max Struss. Just the way he relocates, how he shoots the ball, he's going to be a guy in the 20s, in the late 20s, that you'll be like, bro, he shouldn't have fell this low. But this is why I love this draft, because when you get to those contenders, it's not like you're just getting pennies. Like, go back to 2019, you're drafting fucking Dylan Windler in the late 30s. No, you're going to get a Julian Strawther, a Ben Sheppard, Olivier, I forgot the last 2 names, and he has 3 names. But Olivier, y'all know what I'm talking about, from Marquette. Like, you're going to get some guys later on in this draft that you're like, bro, he shouldn't have fell this low, but since he did, thank you, because they're going to make immediate impact. And this is why I love this draft. I'm getting used to James Naji. I'm getting put on to James Naji. I wasn't really I watched a couple of games from him earlier, but now that it's draft time, I started to watch him a little bit more, and I understand it. I understand the hype, and I'm starting to hate that I didn't have him in my mock draft. But I do understand it a lot. And one more guy I want to talk about, Nick Smith. I understand why he was a highly rated high school player. And I do think I kind of hold him a little bit. I think he's definitely a top 20 talent. So the fact that he didn't make my top 20, I'm sorry. But, hey, he's going to be good for whoever he gets drafted to. But other than that, we have our 3 guys we're going to focus on. So let's get straight to the video. So if you follow me, you know my favorite prospect is Julian Strawther. I just love the way he shoots the ball, man. I think NBA GM should be in love with this kid because he just looks like it's going to easily be a translation from him in the NBA. I think he's going to be a really good player off the bat. Just how gifted he is as a shooter, how smart he is as a shooter. I think that's a very underrated part about shooting, that you have to be smart in the way you do it. And I think when I look at him, I just think he's a very good shooter, very smart shooter. I love how when he shoots the ball, it's not really nothing that changes in his motion, and his formula is literally the same way. He sets his feet the same way. His release point is the same time every time. And he doesn't really get rushed depending on closeouts. It's something that's really important to me when I look at shooters like this, is just how is this a repetition, and that's what it should be when you're shooting the ball. And I see that a lot with him. And I also think he has some times where he can surprise you and he can shoot it off the dribble, and that's something that not a lot of shooters have in this league. So I'm very high on his shooting when coming into the NBA. One of the best parts about his games is how he's able to attack the closeouts and finish at either side of the rim, and how he's able to get to his spots and let off a floater. He shoots 52% on floaters, which is really good in the NBA. I also think at times he can surprise you with his shot creation ability, and that's something I didn't really realize when I first started watching him. And I'm starting to get really accustomed to it, and I think he's going to be able to translate that into the NBA. My NBA prospect comparison for him is Cameron Johnson. I think they play exactly the same. I think they're both very smart shooters. Both move great off ball, very good off ball movements. And I both think they're very good at relocating and finding their spots on the 3-point line. And I both think they have a very good routine when it comes to shooting. They're both very smart shooters. And I think that's something that's making me more happy when I'm watching Julian Strawther, just because how similar he is to a guy like Cameron Johnson, who has a big role on the NBA team. So that's my comparison for Julian Strawther. Perfect fits for Julian Strawther would be the Sacramento Kings and the Memphis Grizzlies. More so the Grizzlies, I just love that fit. I love putting more shooters next to John Moran and Jaren Jackson, especially more elite shooters. And I think they've been trying to do that with David Roddy and Jake LaRavia. And then I think adding Julian Strawther to that core is just something that's going to be a very good addition to the team. And I think he's going to be able to have immediate impact. But if you add him to a guy like the Kings, a team like the Kings, that could be a scary pairing just because how high-powered that offense already is, and just adding a very good offensive player in him next to a guy like Domantas Sabonis, who's a very good passer. Same thing with De'Aaron Fox, and how good he is moving off ball, how that offense is kind of focused on off-ball movement. I think he's going to be able to fit right in with that. But looking at him, he can kind of fit anywhere, but those two teams are some teams that I really like for him. So that's who I have him going to in the draft. I do have him going to the Memphis Grizzlies. My next favorite player in the NBA draft is Brandon Pondemski. He's just another great shooter in the NBA draft that I think is going to be able to translate easily to the NBA. I do love the way he gets his 3-point shots off, though. I think he's able to do it any way you want him to, off the catch and shoot, off the dribble, from deep, off movement. I think he's able to shoot it any way you need him to do, and I think that's going to be something that's going to be easy for him to translate into the NBA. But the difference from him and other shooters in the draft, I do think he has the luxury to be able to score off ball at a very good level that I do think is going to be able to translate to the NBA. I think he loves to get to his spots in the mid-range, and I think that's something that's a lost art. I do think the mid-range is a very lost art, and I think he understands how to get to the mid-range and how to take effective shots on the mid-range. He also has a very patented floater that he loves to do that's very effective, and that's going to be very effective in the NBA. And I do think at times they kind of ran him a little bit weird in Santa Clara, where they let him post up, and I don't think that's going to happen in the NBA. But I do think, consider what team he's on, he can be able to do that if they have a lot of spacing, because he is a big guard. He is 6'5". He does look kind of smaller out there, but when you really watch, he is actually kind of big. So I understand why they had him at times playing in the post, and I do think he's able to do that. In the mid-range, he tends to use his footwork, his crafty footwork, and a lot of counters to get to his spots. And that's something that is very intriguing for me, because he reminds me of a certain guy that we will talk about later. Only when it comes to the mid-range, though, that's what he reminds me of. But everything else, he's just a natural born scorer. And it is kind of slow, but I do expect it to translate. At times, he can kind of surprise you with his first step. He is a slow player, but at times when he's able to face up and give you a couple of jabs, he's able to drive past you pretty easily. And I think in the NBA level, he's going to be able to finish with both hands, and he showed it in the college level. He also shows flashes to be a pretty decent passer. His best areas in passing is obviously in the pick and roll, but in the fast break, he can be a very crafty passer, and that's something that I love. But in that pick and roll, he's very good in pocket passing, and I do love his potential in the pick and roll as far as playmaking goes. His NBA comparison to me is Malcolm Brogdon, a guy that can just do it all, can shoot it, can play make, can score, can pass, a decent defender. I just think instantly in the NBA he's going to be able to have an impact, because he's very good at a lot of things, and that's something that reminds me a lot of Malcolm Brogdon. Now, Brandon is an interesting player. I think he can kind of fit in anything. He can fit in the system, or if you need him to be a lead guard, he can be a lead guard. I think he can fit in Miami, or he's kind of more so in the system, but at times he can become their lead guard. I also think he will fit perfectly in Brooklyn. I think that's my spot where I have him going. I love his potential in Brooklyn. Next to long guys like Cam Johnson, Dorian Finney-Smith, Mikal Bridges, Ben Simmons, I just think that's where he would thrive at, and I think at times he can probably become their lead guard. Now, my last prospect would be Dariq Whitehead. Now, to me, Dariq Whitehead is a lottery type guy, but he's going to be drafted in the later rounds because the foot surgeries that he had. But to me, he's just a gifted player, a gifted shooter that's going to be able to fit in right away with any team he goes to. A very, very good shooter, can move off ball, very good relocator. I love his shot on the move. That's something that's not really I didn't really talk about for the last two guys, but like he just has very good control when he's drifting a little bit, and I think that's something that's going to be able to translate to the NBA really fast. For him being 6'7", it's kind of hard to contest the shot, but if you do contest the shot pretty good, you're not really going to phase him. His shot doesn't change. He doesn't really get startled, and he just goes straight up. Now, he really didn't get to show this because he was playing in Duke, and Duke just plays in a heavy system. If you're not Zion or Paolo, you're not really going to be very good when it comes to shot creating because that's not the system that they run over there. But in high school, he was a very good shot creator, and I think his upside in that should make him be a lottery pick. He was a very good scorer, and I think he just wasn't able to show that in Duke, and that's probably why people don't really believe in it. But he's a gifted scorer. He's able to get into his spots at will. The one thing I like is there's no wasted movements. He gets to his spots at will. He gets to them quick and fast, and then he just is not really phased. Like I said in the shooting part, he's just a very gifted shooter and a very tall player. So at every time, he's just going to be able to shoot over you. And on defense, I think that's the underrated part about this game. I think he's very quick, slides his feet very well, a smart defender, doesn't really foul that much, and I think he's going to be able to translate instantly into the NBA. And his God-gifted size and speed just allows him to recover very well when he's lacking off ball. My comparison to him is Chris Middleton, especially if he's able to get back to what he was in high school when it comes to shot rating. But even as a shooter, he just reminds me a lot of Chris Middleton, how he's able to relocate. Every shot is kind of the same, even when he's drifting or not. And I think he's going to be a better Chris Middleton if he's able, if he's able to get that shot creating that he was in high school. It can be scary things, and I think he reminds me a lot of Chris Middleton. Now, teams I think he'll fare well with, I think he will be a perfect fit next to Tyrese and Benedict Mathurin over there with the Pacers. I just think he'll be a perfect fit with them. And then if he's able to reach that potential with his scoring ability, he could be the perfect three for them. I think he will fit perfectly with the Jazz, the Pacers. I said the Pacers already, the Grizzlies, the Kings. I think he's going to be a high commodity in that late first round, but I do think he should be an early pick, though. I really do. I think he's that talented. Now, you just got to forget those 2 foot surgeries and just pray he doesn't have those problems in the NBA. So that's it for my breakdown, man. Those are my 3 guys going into this draft, so I can't wait to see what they get drafted to tonight. Like I said, we will be having some breakdowns after the draft. Now that I think about it, we will be having a lot of breakdowns after the draft. There's a lot of prospects that I do love that I couldn't talk about because this video would have been an hour long. But other than that, man, that will be it for this video. Like I said, look out for those breakdowns. But for today, that's it. Enjoy the draft today. Let me know how y'all think in the comments. Other than that, peace out.